thousands of people lining the roads, dependence on the local police to ensure that people don't break those barricades and rush into the Prime Minister's route. All of this makes for a situation that can very quickly spiral out of control. Nagarjun continues to be with us. Naga, do we know anything about the identity of this young man who rushed in? He appears to be just someone who wanted to garland the Prime Minister, seems like a fan of the Prime Minister. Anything you're hearing about him?
Up his name. As of now, the police have detained him. They have taken him away, is what we are told. We are yet to verify if he's a localite or if he was even other person, any other from district. We don't know if he's a Karyakarta. It seems like on the face of it, he was just a fan for the Prime Minister. He tried to be over enthusiastic and move away from the barricade, try to jump the barricade, come with a garland. He was wearing a red t-shirt when he jumped the barricade as well. Then immediately we see the SPG take him away, as well as the local police, and immediately then he's moved away from the barricade and the convoy. We have seen
away from the barricade and the convoy. We have seen Prime Minister unusually stand on the footboard all along the roadshow. This was supposed to be a roadshow for 15 minutes but went on till 45 minutes because the Prime Minister, since the departure from the airport terminal in Hubballi, has travelled on the footboard all throughout the venue here in near the railway ground, Railway Maidan in Hubballi. So what was supposed to be a 15 minutes, even the police convoy started moving, the SPG were moving along with him. They were walking a foot along with the Prime Minister. So what to be a 15-minute drive scenario?
Picking up that around 2,900 police have been deployed across Hubballi.
Stay with me for a second, Nagarjun. We're trying to correct our audio with me. SP Vaid, former Director General of Police of Jammu and Kashmir, is with me live on the phone line for a perspective on this. Vaid Saab, thank you very much for being with us. I don't know if you're able to see these images, sir. The Prime Minister's roadshow is happening. A young boy with a garland suddenly dashes onto the route and is quickly, hustled away from that route. Isn't this a security breach, sir?
It is, as per SOP, yes, it is a security breach. No one without proper security clearance should be able to reach in the close circle of the Honorable Prime Minister. That too in a situation like what you see on a road show, where you have a crowd of all kind of people. Many of them are not even cleared by the security, and reaching in such an inner circle of the Prime Minister and handing over garland to him, it could be, God forbid, anybody. And what is the guarantee that that man is not somebody who could harm the Prime Minister? So I think the outer ring of the Prime Minister, which is by the local police, the district police, should not have allowed such a close access to the person, to the Prime Minister. And we have, SPG is also in the close circle of the Prime Minister. I don't know how this was allowed. This is definitely a security breach.
What will happen now, sir? Will there be an investigation into this? After all, it's the Prime Minister, the SPG is involved. What kind of inquiry would take place when such a thing happens, sir?
See, after the event is over, a review is taken, and all such things would be reviewed by the Prime Minister's security, and then it will be the state government will be asked to inquire into as to how did a stranger who was not cleared by security could manage to breach the security and reach in such a close proximity of the Prime Minister.
And is it as a police officer, sir, how difficult is it, during political protocol where there are large crowds of this kind? Isn't it true that it is difficult to ensure 100% sanitization, no matter how much pains are taken?
It is a very difficult job. Police job is dynamic and
Yeah.
situation is developing. Nothing can be 100% in police job. But yes, Prime Minister being one of the most certain person in the not only in this country, in the world, I think, we have to be very, very careful. While political leaders would like people to come closer, but then it is the responsibility of the security wings of all those who are involved in the Prime Minister's security to ensure that he is not harmed by any stranger. If you recall the late Honorable Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi,
Yes.
what did happen to him? There was this lady who was with the garland, and that is when the tragedy happened.
Yes, absolutely. One final question, Ved Saab, is that, how long before such an event does the security protocol actually start by the Special Protection Group and the police? How does that coordination happen, sir? What exactly is done on the ground before the event happens?
See, so a series of meetings happen before actually the event happens. Then even dress rehearsals is done. Very close coordination between different units involved in the security, including the state security, CID, intelligence, intelligence bureau, and SPG. All are involved.
Thank you very much, Ved Saab, for joining us live on this story. Kuldeep Hora, former DGP of Jammu and Kashmir, also with us on the phone line on this. Kuldeep ji, what are you making of this? This appears to be a pretty clear security breach, sir.
Absolutely, Mr. Vad has explained it well.
Yes.
The SPG forms the close ring around the Prime Minister. The Blue Book lays down clearly the parameters to be observed during the security of the Prime Minister. And this boy reaching the Prime Minister and handing over a garland is of course a breach, but at the same time the role of the state police needs to be analyzed, because this boy obviously has come over the barricade, and it appears that the barricade was not properly guarded to ensure that nobody is able to overcome this. So obviously this needs to be investigated, because, in case of Rajiv Gandhi also, dry run had taken place several times.
Yes.
And after that dry run, when they observed that the loopholes in the security being observed for him, the terrorists were able to breach that security and target him.
Yes.
In which unfortunately he got killed. So these are the things which sometimes the terrorists also deploy, sending a youngster or sending a woman to test and see how alert the security is. And after that they exploit it for their intended malified designs.
Kuldeep ji, I don't want to get into any finger pointing, because, one understands this is an extremely complicated and dynamic, role that is played by the police as well as the SPG. But who does the onus lie on when an inquiry happens for something like this? Where does the onus rest, sir?
Well, it is absolutely with the state police primarily. The SPG is there for the ring round only.
Yes.
And obviously he was the boy was stopped by the SPG, but he had already breached the outer security, which is primarily the responsibility of the local police.
Yes. Thank you very much, Kuldeep Khoda ji. Thank you very much for speaking to India Today on this unfolding story. We've got more breaking news coming in. The entire stretch, as expected, was sanitized by the Special Protection Group. The boy in question was allowed by the Prime Minister to offer the garland. That's what we're hearing right now. The boy was allowed near the convoy to offer the garland, is what sources are telling us, which which changes the story a little bit. So was it a security breach or was it not? Was it pre-planned? This is an unfolding story. So with your permission, let's try and explore some of these possibilities here on 5 Live. Nagarjun continues to be with us. Nagarjun, sources telling you that the boy was allowed to offer the garland. What's going on?
He was allowed to come close to the Prime Minister to offer a garland. He kept shouting on the side of his saying, maybe, allowed by the Prime Minister to offer a garland. But like you see the visuals, he just gives the garland and hands over to the SPG and then immediately pulled back, because he should not be saying more than what is needed for them. Immediately is being pulled back by the security agencies. Then the Prime Minister takes the garland from the SPG, then puts it on the windshield of the car. So we are picking up right now that it's not a security breach, but rather the Prime Minister himself allowed the person to come offer him a garland.
So this is interesting, Nagarjun, because it adds a completely different layer to what's going on. On the one hand, what we've been reporting is that this was a security breach because it certainly appears that way, and especially the manner in which the boy is quickly hustled away by the SPG and then by the state police. He's literally dragged away from the vehicular route. But now sources telling us that the route was completely sanitized and this boy was allowed to. I mean, who allowed him to? Who is this boy? Where did this permission come from? So many questions at this point of time. And the reason these questions need to be asked is because this isn't just Narendra Modi. He's the Prime Minister of India. He's an elected representative. He's the leader of the country. His security is not a matter of personal preference. His security is a state subject, and therefore it is one that is subject to many, many questions that arise from this short video clip of this young boy coming in. Now sources, adding to the mix of this story the suggestion that this was pre-planned. This boy was somehow allowed to come and garland the Prime Minister, or the Prime Minister had allowed the boy to come in. I also want to inform our viewers that as far as personal security and SPG protocol is concerned, the last word stands with the SPG, not with the leader, not with the Prime Minister. But was there some pre-planned decision of this kind, with the local police, with the local BJP? We don't know just yet. All of these are possibilities. Remember, in a vibrant democracy like ours, it is possible that, certain people were allowed, but by the looks of what's going on, it certainly looks like a security. I want to bring in OP Singh, former Director General Police of Uttar Pradesh, also in on this. Mr. Singh, welcome. Thank you for your time, sir. This image of this young boy running into the Prime Minister's route with a garland, just a few seconds. He's barely there for a second, hands over the garland, and then he's quickly moved away by the SPG and the police. It looks like a security breach, sir.
Well, you can say the security breach, though of very innocuous nature. All that I got to know from the newspapers and from the TV channels, that a boy was allowed near convoy. He was trying to offer garland to the Prime Minister. Normally it doesn't happen because you have various levels, various layers of security. You have the outer cordon, you have the inner cordon, then you have the proximate isolation cordon. The SPG, which is committed to do the Prime Minister's security, tries to secure the proximate security of the Prime Minister. But beyond that, you have the local police deployed at the outer cordon, at the inner cordon. You have the paramilitary forces also deployed much, much ahead of that. And then you have the barricades. So every entire area is sanitized before anything is done, and that rehearsal is done. And then you have a lot of coordination meetings taking over there through various agencies. So it rarely happens, but certainly this has happened, which should not have happened at all. The boy looks like a boy. He was out of excitement, maybe, that he wanted to garland the Prime Minister. But at the very outset, he shouldn't have been allowed to go so nearer to the PM's convoy. So this is certainly a security lapse, I would say. And the people would be there. The security agencies must be thinking of how this happened, and they must be trying to correct the whole situation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Singh, for joining us. L.N. Rao, former Delhi Delhi police officer, is also with us. Former Delhi DCP is with us on the phone line as well. Mr. Rao, a strange story unfolding. What appeared to initially be some kind of a security breach is now being projected as the Prime Minister, providing permission for this young boy to come and garland him before he was quickly hustled away by the, by the SPG. Given the role of the SPG, sir, can the Prime Minister permit someone to come like this, sir?
Yes, no, this is really a security breach.
Yeah.
And if Prime Minister permitted, it should have been beforehand. We should not forget the incident of our Rajiv Gandhi's assassination, which was also with the bouquet.
Yes.
And that assassination is very serious in our Indian history. So this should not have been allowed by the SPG, as rightly said by the earlier speaker, that the security is of three-layer security. The closest security officers are SPG. And SPG should not have allowed that person, a young person who has given flower to the Honorable Prime Minister. And after that, it's very strange that in spite of other two layers, that the local police and the paramilitary forces, how this person could reach to the Prime Minister's after breaking all these security layer cordons. So in my opinion, it's a security breach and it should be looked into very seriously in future.
Sir, yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. It will have to be inquired into. But I just want to understand the protocol, sir. When any Prime Minister is traveling in this manner, can the Prime Minister instruct the SPG to allow someone to come near? Is that permitted, or does it have to happen beforehand?
Yes, these things are decided prior to the actual function. If Prime Minister says to the SPG that if somebody comes to me with the flowers and everything, and it is decided by the senior level SPG officials, and then again it is to be discussed with the Prime Minister, that is called a VIP, then if every consensus is there, considering all the facts, that it can be only allowed. Otherwise, at a very all of a sudden, if it happens, then it should not be allowed at all. If it is in the earlier knowledge of SPG that it is to be going to happen, then of course after discussing with the senior level officers and discussing with the Prime Minister also, then it can be allowed. Otherwise, it is not allowed at all.
Okay. Thanks very much, Mr. Rao, for joining us here. This show was planned because we wanted to discuss the things that the Prime Minister was going to say at that event, and he's still yet to speak. We'll cut to that live in just a moment. But I have with me Lakshmi Ashwin Gowda, spokesperson of the Karnataka BJP, Lavanya Ballal, spokesperson of the Indian National Congress, both live with me from Bengaluru. Good evening to the both of you. Thank you very much for your time and being with me here on 5 Live. Lakshmi, quickly coming to you first. These images playing out on every television screen right now are quite unsettling. Everyone remembers, I hate to say it, but everyone remembers the Rajiv Gandhi story. Here you're seeing an image of a young boy with a garland going towards the Prime Minister. Now we are being told that the Prime Minister had permitted this boy to come forward with the garland. We know that the Prime Minister is a mass leader. He's very, very popular. People want to go near him, meet him. But can you throw some light on what happened, Lakshmi?
First of all, to meet a Prime Minister, whenever he comes to a state, there has to be a prior intimation to the pre-PMO sent through the BJP state unit, who all are meeting the Prime Minister, Mr. Prime Minister, who all are greeting the Prime Minister, who all are welcoming, and who all are seeing him off. But this is the clear case of security breach. A person cannot abruptly decide to meet the Prime Minister in a close proximity like this. And SPG, first of all, SPG shouldn't have allowed him to go near the Prime Minister. SPG is known for the professionalism, but this is the first case where SPG has neglected something like this. So it's a clear case of security breach. Prime Minister is not an ordinary person, especially our Modi ji is the world's greatest leader. So to meet him, there are certain protocols to be followed, and health protocols also should be followed. PMO has to send the list of the people who are going very close to the Prime Minister of India. and that has to be duly followed. SPG didn't follow this, and this is what if the person has carried some ulterior motive? We are still not sure about it, but as of now, prima facie, it appears a security breach.
Okay, just as a quick quick cautionary note, the facts of what happened are still coming in, so I wouldn't be too eager to point fingers or lay the blame at any agency here, because there are conflicting versions coming in, as both of you know, first of a security breach, other of permission being granted. Was it granted earlier? Was it pre-planned? Was it off the cuff? We don't know just yet, so let those facts also come in. But yes, I do agree that the images suggest that this kind of thing can't be allowed to happen, because sanitization of a route there are no half measures as far as that is concerned. Lavanya, every single police officer we've spoken to since this story broke has invoked Rajiv Gandhi, our respected former Prime Minister, who unfortunately, during a political campaign was assassinated. Everyone remembers that. There's also a jarring, sort of reminder of a person with a garland approaching that convoy and doing this kind of thing. What did you think of this? This was, there is going to be a measure of finger pointing. There are those who believe this is a failure of the state police. Others, like Lakshmi, saying it's the SPG who's at fault. What do you think, Lavanya?
First thing that happens when I saw the visuals was my heart just skipped a beat. He is our Prime Minister, and his safety is of the utmost importance. And this is not the first time, but last year also couple of times there was security breach of Prime Minister's convoy, and even then it was very scary. Like you said, all of us remember how we lost Rajiv Gandhi ji and how he was assassinated, right? And it changed the security protocol of the leaders worldwide. So, when incidents like this happen, it is very scary. He's a Prime Minister of the nation, and he has multiple levels of security. So even though, people say we shouldn't be pointing fingers, what we would like to say, Congress party also would like to say is, where did the security breach happen? Did it happen from the police, or the second layer where there is CRPF? Where did it happen? I mean, that person has crossed 3 levels of the Prime Minister to reach the SPG, right?
Yeah,
Before he reaches the SPG, there are 2 layers of security. How did he even reach there? We are very glad, the Prime Minister is safe right now. But having said that, this has to be investigated, and this shouldn't happen. This should not.
No, I completely agree with what Lavanya is saying.
Breach.
Because the basic point here is there can be no exceptions. There can be absolutely all it takes.
Yes.
The point Lavanya makes is important, because all it takes is one sinister motive to break the barrier for a Prime Minister to be harmed, or in a worst case scenario like with Rajiv Gandhi assassinated. Rajiv Gandhi was not the Prime Minister at that time when he was assassinated, but he was an SPG protectee. I am merely making the point that as far as personal security of national leaders is concerned, it is a zero failure situation. It takes is one single failure for all the security in the world to mean nothing at all. Lakshmi and Lavanya, please continue to stay with me. I want to bring in our man on the ground, Nagarjun Dwarkanath, who's at that event. Naga, conflicting versions coming in. Are you making any sense of it? What are we missing here? Because most people looking at these images, including Lavanya and Lakshmi from the 2 main parties, are seeing this as a security breach. There are many questions being asked as well. Before I go to Nagarjun, we've got some breaking news coming in. Naga, I'll come to you in just a moment. Apologies for that. The top cop of Hubbali in Karnataka has just spoken to India Today and said no security breach at the roadshow. People were frisked before coming and lining the road for that roadshow, and that there was a complete sanitization that took place. However, this does not answer the question over why someone was allowed to rush into the path of the vehicle. Naga, can you throw some light on this? The local police saying no security breach, everyone was frisked, but that still doesn't allow anybody to rush onto the road. So was it pre-planned? Was permission granted? What's going on?
While what looked on the visuals seemed like security breach, then we spoke to our sources. Then we are told that the SPG had sanitized the complete route for around 5 to 6 kilometers. That's the distance between the airport to the railway Maidan, the venue of the event. Then there was the permission given for him, the person who comes close to the proximity of the Prime Minister. We are being told right now from our sources is that he had been told, he was given permission, in fact, rather, if I can put it right, to come close and offer the garland to the Prime Minister. Even after that, immediately in a matter of few seconds, they take him back, they pull him away from the Prime Minister. We saw the local police and the security SPG men pull the person immediately. The Prime Minister takes the garland from the SPG and then puts it on the windshield of the car. Initially, what seemed to be a security breach, right now what we are picking up from our sources is that the permission was given for the man to come to offer the garland. Seems like one of the fans for the Prime Minister, but the opposition is claiming that anyone could come this close with a strange object or a foreign object. Then isn't this a security breach? Isn't this a cause of concern? Because Prime Minister is for India and not just for one party. He is an elected representative. He is a Prime Minister for everyone, is what the Congress and the JDS will of course say.
No, and I'm very glad that right now, no politics is being played over this like we saw during the security breach last year regarding the Prime Minister in Punjab. This time, there appears to be a very, very level-headed conversation, at least so far, happening over the Prime Minister's security. Both Lavanya and Lakshmi here are clear that this is the Prime Minister's security that appears to have been breached, and there can be no there can be no finger pointing between the parties as far as this is concerned, because accountability needs to be established as quickly as possible. Has an inquiry been instituted, Naga? Do we know if an investigation is happening? The police is saying there was no breach. If that is the case, is any investigation taking place?
Well, at this point of time, the preliminary information is that they know the credentials of the person who's come. But we are yet to know if an investigation has been initiated, because even the police are busy with the security right now with the Prime Minister. Prime Minister is on the stage, so all the top cops are here in Hubbali, just right behind the stage. So unless the Prime Minister leaves the venue, the information coming in will be very difficult. So because all of them are busy with the Prime Minister's security right now, even while going back, they have to sanitize the route once again. It's the same route that he'll take back to the airport.
Okay, so that route is the same route that he has to take back to the to the airport. The Prime Minister will be speaking soon, right, Naga?
Sorry, Shiv, come again.
The Prime Minister is expected to speak anytime now.
Yes, Shiv, he'll be speaking in next 3 to 4 minutes. He's the next person on the dais that he'll be speaking. Welcome address is done. Anurag Thakur, the presiding minister for this event, is done. Right now, folk art from the students is going on. We can see Malakamba or the preparations going on right now by the students behind me. Post this, in 3-4 minutes, the Prime Minister will be addressing the event, and that will be the valedictory speech. After that, he's the keynote speaker here, and he'll be taking the same route back to the airport. From there, he'll be flying to Delhi from here.
Okay. Lakshmi, it is your party in power in Karnataka. Are you hoping that there will be an investigation done quickly into this?
He's not an ordinary person. He is our Prime Minister of our biggest democratic country in the world. So definitely investigation will be held as soon as possible, and we will hold that person responsible. I mean, we will hold any person accountable for this breach of the Prime Minister's security, if he has really carried that ulterior motive, or if he has just come like that, and if he has come crossing all the multiple security layers of the Prime Minister. They are yet to be, as you told, they are yet to be furnished, and until then we cannot comment on anything.
No, absolutely, and there's no room for emotions in this. That's yes, also another fact.
Definitely.
There is no room for when it comes to security.
Immediate step would be taken. Immediate investigation will be held. Investigation probe will be held, and that truth will come out immediately.
There is zero room for any kind of sentiment or emotions as far as personal security is concerned, because
Yes.
let's face it, we've had very popular leaders in this country, from Rajiv Gandhi to Narendra Modi. Crowds have always waited for long hours to meet such leaders. It happened with Rajiv Gandhi. It happens every time the Prime Minister Narendra Modi goes anywhere. There are huge crowds lining the roads as well, people wanting to rush in, but there is a reason why security protocol exists the way it does. Yes, Lavanya, you wanted to come in.
Yeah, that was a very valid point that you made. These decisions should never be backed by emotions. All security threat perception should be made on that perception itself, the security threat perception. And for me, I will come out and say, Lakshmi, our BJP counterpart may not be able to say that. We have told multiple times our police in Karnataka under Mr. Narendra is being super inefficient. If it is our Karnataka police that has been responsible, if it is a breach and if it was not a planned interaction, I think people should be held responsible, because my fear is there are a lot of investigations that start and then it is forgotten.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be like that. A prime minister's life is very valuable, and I hope this investigation throws light as to if this was a breach, who was responsible for it.
Lavanya and Lakshmi, continue to stay with me. The Prime Minister is going to speak in just a few minutes from now. Time for a very brief commercial break. I'm going to be back right after that, in time for the Prime Minister to speak. We'll also get some questions in with our guests. Stay with our coverage. Security breach in Hubballi with the Prime Minister, but the story is still unfolding. Back right after this.
You're watching an India Today special broadcast being brought to you from the stunning ski resort of Klosters, Davos.
The 53rd World Economic Forum is back at the snow-clad slopes of Davos. The smartest minds gather to debate the world's biggest challenges: energy crisis, industry headwinds, geopolitical risks, social vulnerabilities. India Today and Business Today are at ground zero to bring you all the action.
और देश के मेरे नौजवान साथियों, मुरु साविरा मठा, सिद्धारूठा मठा, इंतहा अनेक मठागला क्षेत्र के ನನ್ನ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರಗಳು. ರಾಣಿ ಚೆನ್ನಮ್ಮನ ನಾಡು, ಸಂಗೊಳ್ಳಿ ರಾಯಣ್ಣನ ಬಿಡು, ಈ ಪುಣ್ಯ ಭೂಮಿಗೆ ನನ್ನ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರಗಳು. कर्नाटका का ये क्षेत्र अपनी परंपरा, संस्कृति और ज्ञान के लिए प्रसिद्ध है. यहां की अनेक विभूतियों को ज्ञानपीठ पुरस्कार से सम्मानित किया गया है. इस क्षेत्र ने देश को एक से बढ़कर एक महान संगीतकार दिए हैं. पंडित कुमार गंधर्व, पंडित बसवराज राजगुरु, पंडित मल्लिकार्जुन मानसोर, भारत रत्न पंडित भीमसेन जोशी और पंडिता गंगूबाई हंगल जी को मैं आज हुबली की धरती पर आकर नमन करते हुए अपनी श्रद्धांजलि देता हूं. साथियों, साल 2023 में राष्ट्रीय युवा दिवस का ये दिन बहुत विशेष है। एक और ये ऊर्जा महोत्सव और दूसरी ओर आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव। उठो, जागो और लक्ष्य से पहले मत रुको। एली एद्ददेली गुरु मटवा तनका निल्लदी। विवेकानंद जी का ये उद्घोष भारत के युवाओं का जीवन मंत्र है। आज अमृतकाल में हमें अपने कर्तव्यों पर जोर देते हुए अपने कर्तव्यों को समझते हुए देश को आगे बढ़ाना है। और इसमें भारत के युवाओं के सामने स्वामी विवेकानंद जी की बड़ी प्रेरणा है। मैं इस अवसर पर स्वामी विवेकानंद जी के चरणों में नमन करता हूं। अभी कुछ दिन ही पहले कर्नाटका की धरती के एक और महान संत श्री सिद्धेश्वर स्वामी जी का देहावसान हुआ है। मैं सिद्धेश्वर स्वामी जी को भी आदरपूर्वक श्रद्धांजलि अर्पित करता हूं। साथियों, स्वामी विवेकानंद जी का कर्नाटका से अद्भुत रिश्ता था। उन्होंने अपने जीवन काल में कर्नाटका और इस क्षेत्र की कई यात्राएं की थी। बंगलुरु जाते समय वो हुबली, धारवाड़ भी आए थे। इन यात्राओं ने उनके जीवन को एक नई दिशा दी थी। मैसूरू के महाराजा भी उन लोगों में से एक थे जिन्होंने स्वामी विवेकानंद जी को शिकागो यात्रा में उनकी मदद की थी। स्वामी जी का भारत भ्रमण इस बात का भी प्रमाण है कि कितनी ही सदियों से हमारी चेतना एक थी। एक राष्ट्र के रूप में हमारी आत्मा एक थी। ये एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत की भावना का अमर उदाहरण है। इसी भावना को अमृत काल में देश नए संकल्पों के साथ आगे बढ़ा रहा है। साथियों, स्वामी विवेकानंद जी कहते थे कि जब युवा ऊर्जा हो, जब युवा शक्ति हो, तो भविष्य का निर्माण करना, राष्ट्र का निर्माण करना उतना ही आसान होता है। कर्नाटका की इस धरती ने खुद ऐसी कितनी ही महान विभूतियां दी है जिन्होंने अपने कर्तव्यों को सर्वोपरि रखा। बेहद कम उम्र में असाधारण काम किए। कित्तूर की रानी चेन्नम्मा देश की अग्रणी महिला स्वतंत्रता सेनानियों में से एक थी। उन्होंने सबसे मुश्किल समय में भी आजादी की लड़ाई को नेतृत्व दिया। रानी चेन्नम्मा की ही सेना में उनकी साथी संगोली रायण्णा, ऐसे वीर योद्धा भी जिनके शौर्य ने ब्रिटिश सेना का हौसला तोड़ दिया था। इसी धरती के नारायण महादेव डोनी मात्र 14 साल की उम्र में देश के लिए बलिदान देने वाले शहीद बने थे। युवा की जीवटता क्या होती है, उसके हौसले कैसे मौत को भी मात दे सकते हैं, ये कर्नाटका के सपूत लांस नायक हनुमंथप्पा खोप्पड़ ने सियाचिन के पहाड़ों में दिखा दिया था। -55 डिग्री तापमान में भी वो 6 दिन तक मौत से मुकाबला करते रहे थे और वहां से जिंदा निकल करके आए थे। ये सामर्थ्य केवल शौर्य तक ही सीमित नहीं है। आप देखिए, श्री विश्वेश्वरैया जी ने इंजीनियरिंग में अपना लोहा मनवाकर ये साबित किया कि युवा प्रतिभा किसी एक दायरे में बंधी नहीं होती है। इसी तरह देश के अलग अलग हिस्सों में हमारे युवाओं की प्रतिभा और क्षमता एक से एक कल्पनातीत अविश्वसनीय उदाहरणों का अंबार लगा हुआ है। आज भी मैथ से लेकर के साइंस तक जब दुनिया के मंचों पर प्रतियोगिताएं होती हैं तो भारतीय युवाओं की काबिलियत विश्व को विस्मित कर देती है। साथियों, अलग अलग कालखंड में किसी भी राष्ट्र की प्राथमिकताएं बदलती है, उसके लक्ष्य बदलते हैं। आज 21वीं सदी के जिस पड़ाव पर हम भारतीय पहुंचे हैं, हमारा भारत पहुंचा है, वो उपयुक्त समय सदियों के बाद आया है। और इसकी सबसे बड़ी वजह है भारत का ये युवा सामर्थ्य, ये युवा शक्ति। आज भारत एक युवा देश है। दुनिया की बड़ी युवा आबादी हमारे देश में है, हिंदुस्तान में है। युवा शक्ति is the driving force of India's journey. The next 25 years are important for building the nation. Yuva Shakti's dreams decide India's direction. Yuva Shakti's aspirations decide India's destination. Yuva Shakti's passion decides India's path. To harness the Yuva Shakti, we need to be young with our thoughts, with our efforts. To be young is to be dynamic in our efforts. To be young is to be panoramic in our perspective. To be young is to be pragmatic. Friends, if the world looks to us for solutions, it is because of the dedication of our Amrit generation. आज जब दुनिया भारत की तरफ इतनी उम्मीदों की नजर से देख रही है, तो इसके पीछे आप सभी मेरे युवा साथी हैं। आज हम दुनिया में 5वें नंबर की अर्थव्यवस्था है और हमारा लक्ष्य है कि हम इसे टॉप 3 में लेकर के जाएं। देश की ये इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ हमारे युवाओं के लिए अपार अवसर लेकर आएगी। आज हम कृषि के क्षेत्र में दुनिया की अग्रणी ताकत है। कृषि के क्षेत्र में टेक्नोलॉजी और इनोवेशन से एक नया रिवॉल्यूशन आने वाला है। इसमें युवाओं के लिए नए अवसर पैदा होंगे, नई ऊंचाइयों पर जाने के नए रास्ते खुलेंगे। स्पोर्ट्स के क्षेत्र में भी आज भारत दुनिया की एक बड़ी पावर बनने की तरफ अग्रसर हो रहा है। ये भारत के युवाओं के सामर्थ्य के कारण ही संभव हो पा रहा है। आज गांव हो, शहर हो या कस्बा, हर जगह उफान पर है युवाओं का जज्बा। आज आप इन बदलावों के साक्षी बन रहे हैं। कल आप इसकी ताकत से फ्यूचर लीडर बनेंगे। फ्रेंड्स, this is a special time in history. You are a special generation. You have a special mission. This is the mission of making an impact for India on the global scene. For every mission, a foundation is needed. Whether it is economy or education, sports or startups, skill development or digitalization, in every domain, a strong foundation has been laid in the last 8-9 years. The runway is ready. The runway is ready for your takeoff. Today, there is a great optimism in the world towards India and its youth. This optimism is about you. This optimism is because of you. And this optimism is for you. Today, there are global voices saying this century is India's century. It is your century. The century of India's youth. There are global surveys saying majority of the big investors want to invest in India. These investors want to invest in you, India's youth. Indian startups are getting record investments. Many global companies are setting up manufacturing plans to make in India, from toys to tourism, defense to digital India, is making headlines across the world. So, this is a historic time when optimism and opportunity are coming together. साथियों, हमारे देश में हमेशा से नारी शक्ति को और नारी शक्ति ने राष्ट्र शक्ति को जागृत रखने, राष्ट्र शक्ति को बढ़ाने का काम किया है। अब आजादी के इस अमृत काल में महिलाएं, हमारी बेटियां और नए नए पराक्रम करके दिखा रही है। भारत की महिलाएं आज फाइटर जेट्स उड़ा रही है, सेना में कॉम्बेटिव रोल्स में शामिल हो रही है। साइंस, टेक्नोलॉजी, स्पेस, स्पोर्ट्स, ऐसे हर क्षेत्र में हमारी बेटियां बुलंदियां छू रही है। ये उद्घोष है कि भारत अब पूरी शक्ति से अपने लक्ष्यांकों की ओर बढ़ रहा है। साथियों, हमें 21वीं सदी को भारत की सदी बनाना है और इसलिए ये जरूरी है कि हम वर्तमान से 10 कदम आगे की सोचें। हमारी सोच फ्यूचरिस्टिक हो, हमारी अप्रोच फ्यूचरिस्टिक हो। ये जरूरी है कि युवा आकांक्षाओं की पूर्ति के लिए आप पॉजिटिव डिसरप्शन करें, विश्व के आधुनिक देशों से भी आगे चले। अगर हम याद करें, आज से 10-20 वर्ष पूर्व ऐसी कितनी ही चीजें अस्तित्व में भी नहीं थी जो आज हमारे जीवन का अभिन्न हिस्सा है। इसी तरह आने वाले कुछ वर्षों में संभवतः ये दशक खत्म होने से पहले पहले हमारी दुनिया एकदम बदलने वाली है। आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, मशीन लर्निंग, इंटरनेट ऑफ थिंग्स और AR, VR जैसी इमर्जिंग टेक्नोलॉजीज एक नए स्वरूप में इवॉल्व हो चुकी होंगी। डेटा साइंस और साइबर सिक्योरिटी जैसे शब्द कहीं ज्यादा गहराई से हमारे जीवन के हर आयाम से जुड़ चुके होंगे। हमारी शिक्षा से लेकर देश की सुरक्षा तक, हेल्थ केयर से लेकर कम्युनिकेशन तक, सब कुछ एडवांस टेक्नोलॉजी के जरिए एक नए अवतार में दिखने वाला है। आज जिन कामों का अस्तित्व भी नहीं है, आने वाले समय में वो युवाओं के लिए मेन स्ट्रीम प्रोफेशन होने की संभावनाएं हैं। इसलिए ये जरूरी है कि हमारे युवा फ्यूचर स्किल्स के लिए खुद को तैयार करें। दुनिया में जो कुछ नया हो रहा है, हमें उससे खुद को जोड़ना होगा। जो काम कोई नहीं कर रहा है, हमें उन्हें भी करना होगा।
You're watching an India Today special broadcast being brought to you from the stunning ski resort of Klosters, Davos.
The 53rd World Economic Forum is back at the snow-clad slopes of Davos. The smartest minds gather to debate the world's biggest challenges: energy crisis, industry headwinds, geopolitical risks, social vulnerabilities. India Today and Business Today are at ground zero to bring you all the action. Catch top corporate tycoons, politicians and intellectuals as they discuss cooperation in a fragmented world. Watch the Davos brainstorm only on India Today and Business Today TV.
The song beat out stiff competition from popular numbers including Carolina, From the Murder Mystery, where the Crawdads sing. It has been written and sung by Taylor Swift.
That is whispers, Carolina knows. Hold my hand, everything will be okay.
The second song competing was Hold My Hand from Tom Cruise's Top Gun Maverick. It is a love letter to the world during and after a hard time and is written by Lady Gaga.
So bright tonight, but don't you promise me, just hold my hand. Hold me when you go to sleep.
Natu Natu was also contesting with Lift Me Up from Black Panther Wakanda Forever to seize the award. The contemporary R&B and pop number was Rihanna's new single after a gap of 6 years.
Ciao, Papa.
But Tushar Gupta, do you think that Mohan Bhagwat in a way is once again falling into the trap of singling, if you look at his statements 5 or 6 months ago, they seemed much more moderated, they seemed much more inclusive. In this occasion, when he speaks about this 1,000-year war in particular, it almost appears that he's once again going into these civilizational battles that are existing and continue to exist at the moment.
Good evening. Look, he is indeed referring to some civilizational battles, but he's also referring to the futility of them in the current context. I would just like to elaborate from where Professor Ragi left. Now, if we look at the current context, we talk about the regional supremacy because there are some sections on both sides that believe in this rhetorical supremacy. There was a case which we had where a party spokesperson crossed the line on a show and everyone was on the streets shouting Sar Tan Se Juda. As much deplorable as her statements were, the legal precedents should have taken over, but it were people who were showing the supremacy. Yes, a ruling party member said ki jeb mein chaku hona chahiye, but then it was one of the OAC brothers who said remove the police for 15 minutes and we'll kill 1 crore Hindus. So these statements, this boisterous rhetorical supremacy has been on both sides, and Mohan Bhagwat is condemning them equally, where he says that rhetorical supremacy, either from Muslims or from Hindus or even from communists, is incorrect and futile in today's time. So we have to look at things in the current context. And if you look at the interview in its entirety, I think he's asking for a more pluralistic society, more diverse society with accommodation of diverse ideas and ideologies. Otherwise, why would he would have stressed that the population bill is about awareness? It's not something that can be forced. We've seen how the discussions around the population bill happen in this country. And Mohan Bhagwat took a very, very liberal view saying, we have to focus on awareness. We can't force someone to follow it. So I think it would be incorrect to refer to this.
I take your point that you need to look at the interview in its entirety. In particular, it's very interesting. Mohan Bhagwat speaks about social acceptance of LGBTQ communities and thereby seems to sort of suggest that you need to create a more inclusive society.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Only OLX Autos gives the best price for your car. In association with LIC, हर पल आपके साथ. Shop fashion brands at Ajio.
Good evening. You're watching 6 p.m. Prime here on India Today. I'm Akshita Nandagopal getting you all the top stories. We're focusing on what's happening in Joshimath. India Today has been getting you constant ground reports, and today, now we're seeing the demolition of two of the most famous hotels in Joshimath as they're leaning on to each other now, posing a threat to the town. But even as we get you those live updates, there are questions about what's being done to take care of the residents. Are they being given adequate compensation? What's being done to help them evacuate and ensure that they can settle somewhere else comfortably? We're going to be asking those questions. The headlines first. Prime Minister inaugurates National Youth Fest in Karnataka, says runway is ready for India's young workforce, pays tribute to Swami Vivekananda and hails Siachen hero Lance Nayak Hanumantappa.
The runway is ready. The runway is ready for your takeoff.
Demolition begins at one of the two hotels that were marked unsafe in Joshimath. Bulldozers brought in, emotional locals leave their homes. High drama within the Karnataka BJP as B.S. Yediyurappa doesn't get an invite to Prime Minister Modi's Hubbali event. Has the BJP snubbed Yediyurappa yet again? Road caves in the heart of Bengaluru in Brigade Road, seriously injuring a biker. 48 hours after a metro pillar killed mother and her son, another shocking apathy strikes Bengaluru. Suspended BJP Neta Nupur Sharma gets a gun license after several death threats that she's received over her prophet remark. And Army Chief's big announcement on peace along the borders. His situation in northern borders are stable but unpredictable. Also sends a proposal to commission women officers in artillery to the government. After the evacuation, it's time for demolition now in Joshimath. All of this damage control after the area was declared as landslide prone. Two hotels have been identified particularly to be unsafe, and demolition of one of the two hotels is going to begin any time now. Let's take you through the top defining images. The affected people have started shifting to relief camps. Several people in Joshimath were seen loading their belongings onto trucks to move to safer locations. Before the demolition of the two hotels, cranes and bulldozers have also been deployed at the location. Although no heavy machinery can be used for the demolition, the cranes were being used to take heavy items like generators out of the hotel. As the demolition of the hotels approaches, the owner of the hotel, Malari Inn, and his wife were seen breaking down and lying on the road. This came after the meeting with the administration didn't turn out the way they wanted. The owner of the hotel is miffed. Imagine, they're losing everything they have. They've stayed there for decades. The rage against the administration clearly on the streets there, very visible. Affected people in Joshimath expressed their anger, their ire, chanted slogans against the Dhami government because they haven't received any concrete solution from the government. The administration, meanwhile, continues to assure locals. Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami held a meeting with the Army, ITBP, NDRF and scientists from various establishments engaged in landslide investigation. He instructed all agencies to ensure the safety of people. What happens to the locals of Joshimath? Many of them are being evacuated from their homes, the only home they've known for decades together, and now they're left with nothing at all. And that's because you're also seeing demolition drives now kicking off in parts of Joshimath. First, it's two hotels that are being demolished. Over 700 houses have shown cracks on the walls. Almost 130 families have been shifted out to safety. Only two hotels will be demolished, according to Chief Minister Dhami. None of the houses will be, but when will it actually be safe for them to return remains a big question mark. There's also a fight over the immediate compensation. Now, Chief Minister Dhami has announced 1.5 lakh rupees to the affected families. Imagine that. They've lost everything that they've ever owned. Their homes, their livelihoods, all gone. And 1.5 lakh rupees is expected to make up for all of that. Chief Minister Dhami has been there personally assuring people, saying, we will take care of your needs. He even spent a night at the relief camp with the protesters to review assistance that has been provided to the affected. He held a key meeting with senior officials on the situation. Let's take this across to both our reporters on the ground. Amit Bharadwaj as well as Ashutosh Mishra are joining us live from Joshimath. They've been tracking the latest, getting us voices of the locals and the latest on the situation there. Amit, if I can begin with you, has the demolition begun? Two hotels. The demolition was supposed to happen, in fact, 2 days back. It's been delayed because of processes that have been underway to ensure that it is a safe demolition.
Well, Akshata, today the demolition activity was resumed in a way. 2 days back when the SDRF and the government officials had taken over those two properties, Mount View and Malari, what we had seen was several women sitting on protest, blocking the path of the officials, and not letting them enter the Malari hotel, to be specific. And after 2 days of deadlock, yesterday when Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami was in Joshimath, he made the first announcement about 1.5 lakh rupees ex gratia compensation to the affected people of Joshimath. And after that, today further negotiations were held between the property owners and specifically Malari and Mount View property owners. And after that, what we saw was there was a consensus between the government as well as the property owners. And in fact, speaking to India Today, Thakur Singh Rana, who owns Malari, said that for the safety of his neighbors and on assurance from the government, he has he has agreed to the entire demolition activity. And it was around past 2 p.m. that Thakur Singh Rana, along with his family members, stepped out of the hotel complex, and they literally left that hotel after nearly 2 to 3 days. And that's when the SDRF team had taken control of the entire building. We also saw NDRF officials, being active in the entire area. Officials from the NDRF, SDRF, several representatives who are linked with the CBRI, along with the PWD department, were inspecting the hotel Malari to make sure as to what would be the impact of this demolition, because remember, you cannot use any heavy machinery here. All that needs to be done, the demolition activity, or rather the dismantling activity, has to be done with hammers, with drillers and similar equipments and tools. So they were also checking if the debris falls down, what would be the impact of it, and if there are any tremors, how it could cause.
There are two problems here, and I'd like to bring in Ashutosh on this. One is, will there be an impact of the demolition? Can authorities give a 100% assurance, Ashutosh, that there will be no impact of the demolition in a landslide-prone zone? Secondly, the weather is a serious concern right now because it looks like it's going to be raining more.
Well, Akshita, first, it will not be at the magnitude of, demolition. It will be a dismantling. So that explains that how carefully this will be exercised. And what we see right behind me is the site where this demolition was being carried out. The dismantling process was carrying out. A 7-story building where first, the first challenge was to get all those water tanks removed. And then they have a temporary construction. So you have a metal sheath, metal portion. So that will be need to cut through using the gas lighters. And now what we see, since it started already raining, and on the upper ridges there are heavy snowfalls, and here in Joshimath it's already raining. And now till 14 there is a warning of, there is a weather alert of snowfall and to have moderate to heavy rainfalls. And that is now has affected this entire operation. What we were told by administration that it may take even more than a week, and this was supposed to go throughout the night. And now because of the rainfalls, all these personals who were in this operation have come down from the Malari Fall, and now the people were most afraid because due to the rainfall there could be further escalation or sliding in the mountain, particularly in the danger zone affected area. Now you see all these evacuating this side.
You can see a lot of the relief work, rescue work happening there. People evacuating all the material inside. We're losing Ashutosh's connection. We'll go back to him in just a bit. One final question to Amit. I want to play that heartbreaking image of the owner of the hotel moving away, breaking down, crying, very emotional. That's the home, that's the place he's known for decades. And now he's left with nothing because of this demolition or dismantling, whatever you want to call it. And there are questions, Amit, of what's being done to help these locals. What's the kind of compensation they're getting? Why is it that every single day they're being forced to protest and the administration is making empty promises but not reaching out to them and giving them what they want?
Well, Akshita, until yesterday, there was a lot of anger on the streets of Joshimath. We saw Badrinath Highway getting blocked. We saw women sitting on dharna in this extremely cold weather where rainfall is happening. There's threat of snowfall as well. Temperature goes in -degree as well in the night. And when Pushkar Singh Dhami, the Chief Minister, came here, what was much needed effort, it was just an assurance telling the people of Joshimath that in time of this particular crisis, the disaster that is unfolding, the entire administration is standing rock solid behind you, and we are here to listen to every grievances of yours. And that's, the first step towards that was announcing the 1.5 lakh rupees ex gratia compensation. Because remember, you have built your homes and hotels and businesses, investing all of your savings of the lifetime. And it is on the verge of falling down like pack of cards. So what do? You don't know what's stored in the future. And even the sustenance of the family for the next 4 to 6 months is a big question for all these people, affected people. So this ex gratia amount is going to be a surge of relief, as well as it is, going to bring some trust between the establishment as well as the locals who are affected by this disaster, which is still unfolding in Joshimath. But the bigger question of compensation, fair resettlement, all those questions remains unanswered. And the Chief Minister has said that, the committee will soon give recommendations on those notes. Back to you,
Let's see if the government does justice to the locals. Right now, the rescue operations, any sort of work by officials has been halted because of the rainfall in Joshimath. And that itself is a huge concern right now. Ashutosh, Amit, will keep coming across to you. Thanks very much for joining us for the moment with all those live updates from Joshimath. Tempers are obviously soaring, and understandably so, in Joshimath. Locals are protesting over how the government is handling handle this crisis. They're dissatisfied with relocation efforts. They're dissatisfied with the compensation that's been announced. And the residents are saying very clearly one thing. They want to ensure there's accountability. They're asking, who's behind this Himalayan crisis? Why weren't our cries heard before?
Sitting precariously at an altitude of more than 6,000 feet and caving in. More than 130 families in the mountain town of 25,000 relocated since Saturday.
723 ऐसे स्ट्रक्चर्स हैं जिसमें अभी हमारे सर्वे के बाद दरारें परिलक्षित हुई हैं और लगातार हम जो जनप्रतिनिधि हैं, वार्ड मेंबर्स हैं, उनसे टच में हैं कि किस क्षेत्र में अगर कहीं पर स्थिति अगर कहीं और कहीं दरारें परिलक्षित हो रही हैं तो वो तत्काल हमारे संज्ञान में लाएं।
Emergency crews and security personnel at the scene.
Look at the state of this particular house. The protection wall has given up. Ground floor has collapsed. Strong part of any building are the pillars of any house, giving us a complete picture as to how dangerous is this situation in Joshimath.
सरकार उचित हमको मुआवजा दे, तो इसीलिए हमारा ये धरना पर।
मुआवजा आपको बताया जा रहा है, क्या वो काफी नहीं है?
नहीं, अभी हमको तो कुछ नहीं बताया, हमें पता ही नहीं कि कितना, उसको आउट ही नहीं कर रहे हैं कि हम भाई इतना देंगे। इसलिए हम विरोध कर रहे हैं और तोड़ने भी आएंगे, हम इसे टूटे में आएंगे।
Joshimath sinks, tempers soar. Local residents up in protest over the Uttarakhand government's handling of the situation.
सरकार से हमारा जो भी मांगे हैं सरकार मान ही नहीं रहे हैं हमारा मांग। हम यही गुजारिश करना चाहते हैं, हाथ जोड़ के विनती करते हैं हमारी सरकार हमारी मांगे को पूरी करे और हम खुद बेघर हो गए हैं। पूरे जोशीमठ का अस्तित्व खत्म होने वाला है।
The hotel which is supposed to be raised down due to the risk waiver, and why this is, look at these gaps, these cracks from mainland to the hotel stretch, these stairs, and this is widening every day. And despite being threat zone, the people have decided to sit here on protest. There's a meeting being called by the administration. This is to resolve. Now the demand from the hotel owners and these locals, replace us, relocate us to the safer places, ensure proper compensation.
The administration held talks with protesters seeking greater compensation than the interim assistance of 1.5 lakh rupees for each displaced family. Authorities, however, are playing this down, insisting it was noticed in just a small part of Joshimath.
पैन उत्तराखंड कोई बड़ी घटना नहीं हो रही है और विद इन जोशीमठ भी केवल 20% हिस्सा प्रभावित हुआ है, बाकी 80% हिस्सा यहाँ सुरक्षित है। अगर पूरे जोशीमठ खतरे में होगा तो हम कैसे रह सकते हैं? तो इसलिए ये एग्जैजरेशन है।
Weather has compounded fears here. Battling freezing cold, residents of Joshimath are bracing for rains forecast in the region over the next 3 days.
प्रकृति को आप ये भी समझिए, अगर वो दंश दे रही है तो उसके बाद दवा भी है और उसकी समझ इस रूप में है कि फिलहाल कुछ समय आप प्रकृति से छेड़छाड़ बंद करें, इसके चारों तरफ की गतिविधियों को रोकें। निश्चित रूप से मेरा मानना है कि प्रकृति एक अच्छा व्यवहार करेगी।
According to official sources, fissures have widened in at least 24 buildings of the town. Authorities plan to raze to the ground high-risk structures with light equipment, mostly manual, in order not to create tremors from the demolition. Many locals sounded least satisfied with the relocation efforts.
तोड़ने के लिए तैयार है, मनाने के लिए, तोड़ने के लिए तैयार है, पर उचित मुआवजा दे दे, बद्रीनाथ के तर्ज पे विस्थापित कर दें और इसी के लंबे बैठे हैं धरने।
जब जनता तब नेता, जनता मर जाएगा तो नेता कहाँ से बचेगा?
A grave crisis in the Himalayas, reminding policymakers of what they should have done but didn't do to protect the fragile mountains. With Ashutosh Mishra, Amit Bhardwaj and Ankit Sharma in Joshimath, Uttarakhand, Bureau Report, India Today.
So why exactly is Joshimath sinking? I decode the risk that the temple town faces from unregulated development. Located at a height of 6,000 feet, the winter seat of Lord Badri, Joshimath is a well-known tourist destination. Joshimath is a town in the Garhwal Himalayas and an important way station of both the pilgrim and trekking circuits. It's also of huge strategic importance to the Indian Army. But why is Joshimath sinking? Is over-exploitation for real? In the past few decades, the hill town has seen an explosion in population. There's been rampant growth in construction activities as well. Now, the geography of this town does set it apart. For a fact, Joshimath was built on an ancient landslide site, which results in its low bearing capacity. The Uttarakhand State Disaster Management Authority, in its 1976 report, said that the perennial streams, appreciable snow in the upper reaches and highly weathered gneissic rock made the area highly vulnerable to sinking, what we're seeing today. The impact of extreme rainfall has led to the expansion also of mountain streams and their channels and has changed their course, which has eventually induced more instability to this very, very fragile belt. Joshimath is a seismic zone, an area essentially that's prone to earthquakes, which adds to the new title, the sinking town. New development projects are also taking a clear toll. Projects such as the Helang Marwari bypass have brought the town under the impact of also tectonic activities. Despite the sensitivity of the area, major hydroelectric projects have also been sanctioned. There are many questions also over the NTPC hydropower project. Under this project, 2 tunnels are being dug. One is being dug from Tapovan and the other from Selang. Experts say that the blasts for this construction done for the projects and the seepage due to the constant tunneling work could actually have an impact. It could be responsible for the cracks that you see currently in several homes. And to a large extent, experts say this is the issue. There have been massive protests also against the NTPC hydropower project. Joshimath is on the brink with dangerous cracks widening now in several people's homes. Almost 600 families have to be evacuated, and that too on an urgent basis. Unplanned developmental activities without due regard to bearing capacity have contributed to aggravating the slope instability issues in Joshimath. And this isn't the first time Uttarakhand has actually seen these disasters. We're talking about massive flash floods, which you well know about, forest fires, avalanches, landslides, and completely unpredictable weather. The question that remains currently, looking at the situation in Joshimath, who's responsible for what's happening right now? Was a comprehensive study actually done before sanctioning some of these projects like the hydropower project? And why were these red flags ignored for so long till it's become such a dire situation, forcing families now to leave? I'm slipping into a short break here on 6 p.m. Prime. Coming up on the other side, I'm getting you the big headline from Tamil Nadu. The showdown over Ram Setu has been reignited, with Chief Minister M.K. Stalin moving a resolution in the Tamil Nadu Assembly for the Setu Samudram project.
The men and women who built Indian industry, and the young guns who are shaping tomorrow's India. From storied careers to unicorn dreams.
The equity market is a dynamic space that needs sharper insights and perfect timing.
What stock, what fund, what to pick and what to sell.
How do you make money on the markets? And what are the superior strategies for a winning portfolio?
Your questions answered by 30 years
of undisputed leadership.
Only at the Market Today Summit.
PSU banking space will do reasonably okay. It will not do as well as what we've seen in the last year. But I think we should stay focused on to SBI, BOB, Can Bank. I don't think we should go too far in terms of the smaller PSU banks, because that is where when the market is tough, the performance may not be that good. But overall, we have a positive view on these three names which I have outlined.
Okay, and what about your take on the entire auto space, especially with this, auto show now underway? We are seeing some already, some footages coming in as far as the Maruti Suzuki's EV goes, and that's the first one from their basket, and slated to release on 2025 as well. Your entire take on that auto space and on Tata Motors especially, because yesterday we saw a spectacular move there on the JLR sales being quite strong, wholesale sales being better, brokerage houses being positive. And which is your top pick, say for example, from the four-wheeler space, especially when it comes to the auto basket?
Yeah, so overall view on auto is very positive. I think we have to select the right pocket. So the passenger vehicle would be one category where the view is very positive. Also the CV players, we have a positive view. Two-wheelers is something that we are avoiding at this point because there is not much of clarity. And talking about the stocks, I think definitely Tata Motors would be one stock that we would like to go with at this point, mainly because of the combination of positive news flow on the JLR side. Even the domestic PV cycle is turning positive. CV cycle is reasonably good. So the stock has underperformed. So there is some room for upside over there. And as far as other companies in the auto sector are concerned, we would bet on two names. One is Mahindra, the other one is Maruti, because of the kind of product pipeline that they have and the response which they are getting.
Welcome back. The Tamil Nadu Assembly is in session and the Sethu Samudram project, the bone of contention between Dravidian parties and the BJP, is once again in the news. A resolution has been adopted by, the Tamil Nadu Assembly, which urges the union government to revive the Sethu Samudram channel project. M.K. Stalin said that this is a long-pending dream of the people of Tamil Nadu.
A small stretch of land between India and Sri Lanka, the Ram Setu, or Ram's Bridge. It's been a big point of debate both in the judiciary and in political corridors for years now, and it's back in the news. This is courtesy CM Stalin reigniting his dream of the Sethu Samudram project, a bone of contention in the past between BJP and Dravidian parties. CM Stalin moved a resolution that was passed unanimously calling for the project to get a go-ahead, as Stalin deemed it a long-pending dream of Tamil Nadu.
150 ஆண்டுகால கனவு திட்டமான சேது சமுத்திர திட்டத்தை நிறைவேற்றி தர வேண்டும் என்ற தீர்மானத்தை இம்மாமன்றத்தில் முன்மொழிவதை வரலாற்று கடமை என்று நான் கருதுகிறேன். பாஜக ஆட்சியில்தான் சேது சமுத்திர திட்டத்துக்கான பாதை எது என தீர்மானிக்கப்பட்டது. அரசியல் காரணங்களுக்காக பாஜக சார்பில் இத்திட்டத்துக்கு முட்டுக்கட்டை போடப்பட்டது என்பதும், இத்திட்டத்தை ஆரம்பம் முதல் ஆதரித்து வந்த அதிமுக பொதுச் செயலாளர் அம்மையார் அவர்கள் திடீரென நிலைப்பாட்டை மாற்றிக்கொண்டு இத்திட்டத்துக்கு எதிராக வழக்கு போட்டார் என்பதையும் இம்மாமன்ற உறுப்பினர்கள் நன்கு அறிவார்கள்.
The Sethu Samudram shipping canal project was originally conceived in 1860. The project had been studied for years, but it was stalled as pro-Hindu groups said that the economic corridor could damage the Ram Setu land. Several surveys were conducted with the NDA under Prime Minister Vajpayee allowing a feasibility study. It was only in 2004 that the Manmohan Singh government allowed the project, but 19 years later, nothing has happened.
It is a welcome move by the Tamil Nadu government in trying to bring about a resolution to bring back the Setu Samudram project. It's definitely a very good project insofar as improving the economy of Tamil Nadu and the economy of India as a whole.
The DMK is now seeking the centre's support for the Setu Samudram project, even as the Modi government has been tiptoeing over the issue in the Supreme Court. Weeks ago, Union Minister Jitendra Singh, responding to a query on Ram Setu in Rajya Sabha, conceded that it was difficult to say the real form of Ram Setu is present.
We have certain limitations in discovering that because the history dates back to about more than 18,000 years. To some extent, through space technology, we have been able to discover species in islands. It's difficult to actually pinpoint the exact structure that existed there, but there is some kind of an indication, direct or indirect, that structures have existed.
With the resolution being passed unanimously in the Tamil Nadu Assembly, the decks are cleared for the DMK's renewed push for the canal project. But questions loom on whether the Modi government will back the project, particularly with the 2024 elections coming up.
Interestingly, BJP and AIDMK, which opposed the project earlier, citing Ram Setu, have now decided to support the project. And if this Setu Samudra project is implemented, a deep canal will be dug through Park Strait and Gulf of Mannar. Thereby, ships will not have to go around Sri Lanka. Viz Daniel, Pramod Madhav, for India Today.
Moving on, let's get you news from Delhi, where trouble is mounting for Arvind Kejriwal at the Aam Aadmi Party. The Delhi government's Directorate of Information and Publicity has issued a notice to AAP in order to recover 163.62 crore rupees for allegedly running its political advertisements in the guise of government ads. That's a clear violation of the Supreme Court guidelines issued in 2015. AAP has also been warned that if the party doesn't deposit the money within 10 days, their headquarters will be sealed. This is a directive that's coming from the Lieutenant Governor. So the AAP has cried foul.
Ads issued by the Delhi government have become the latest flashpoint between the Aam Aadmi Party and the Delhi Lieutenant Governor Vinay Kumar Saxena. Aam Aadmi Party has been served a notice for a recovery of 163.62 crore rupees for allegedly running its political campaign in the guise of government ads. The notice issued by the Delhi government's Directorate of Information and Publicity says the ad money was spent allegedly in violation of the Supreme Court's guidelines issued in 2015. The notice claims Aam Aadmi Party has to pay a principal amount of 99.31 crore rupees till March 2017 and an interest of 64.31 crore rupees. It warned that the Aam Aadmi Party's office would be sealed if the party does not deposit the money within 10 days. The notice comes nearly a month after the LG directed the Chief Secretary to recover 97 crore rupees from Aam Aadmi Party for allegedly publishing political ads with taxpayers' money. Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia has accused the LG of using government officials to target Aam Aadmi Party.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी असंवैधानिक रूप से इन अफसरों के ऊपर अपना कब्जा करके जमा के बैठी है और वो इसका दुरुपयोग करके इन अफसरों का इस्तेमाल कर रही है अरविंद केजरीवाल जी के खिलाफ राजनीतिक इस्तेमाल कर रही है.
The BJP mounted a scathing attack against Aam Aadmi Party, demanding that leaders of Delhi's ruling party should repay taxpayers every penny misused.
आम आदमी पार्टी का खाता सीज किया जाए क्योंकि ये पैसा आम आदमी पार्टी एक राजनीतिक पार्टी ने अपने के लिए खर्च किया तो वो पे करेगी. दूसरा कहां से रिकवरी होगा? दूसरी रिकवरी होगी जितने लोगों का चेहरा चमका है उनके खातों से रिकवरी होगी.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी के अलग अलग राज्यों के मुख्यमंत्रियों के विज्ञापनों से भरे पड़े हैं दिल्ली के अखबार। मध्य प्रदेश से लेके उत्तराखंड से लेके हिमाचल, उत्तर प्रदेश, हर जगह के कांग्रेस के भी मुख्यमंत्रियों के आपको दिल्ली के अखबारों में खूब ऐड मिलेंगे। भारतीय जनता पार्टी के देश भर के मुख्यमंत्रियों के आपको दिल्ली के अखबारों में ऐड मिलेंगे। अगर गलत है तो वो वहां के मुख्यमंत्रियों से वसूलेगी भारतीय जनता पार्टी वो पैसा।
The Supreme Court in 2015 had barred ruling parties from using pictures of their leaders in ads publicizing welfare schemes. But political parties have been openly violating the Supreme Court direction. Bureau Report, India Today.
I'm slipping into a short break here on 6 p.m. Prime. Coming up on the other side, we're getting you all the details of the upcoming cold wave in parts of North India. Will temperatures in the national capital dip to 0 degrees and below? I'll tell you in just a bit.
The 3-day Auto Expo kickstarts, marking a return after a gap of 3 COVID-induced years. The buzz, though, is palpable. A slew of launches from Maruti, MG Motors, Kia, Hyundai steal the show, with a majority of the launches from the EV and alternate fuel space, coupled with the star-studded launch of the Hyundai Iconic 5 EV by our very own King Khan. Maruti joins the EV crusade with their first-born electric SUV, EVX, at the Auto Expo 2023. The model set to hit the markets in 2025. Expect a 17 to 20% EV penetration of Indian autos by 2030, says the company's ED, Shashank Srivastava. Lackluster day of trade in the Lal Street as benchmarks end flat post a choppy session. Nifty settles just below 17,900. Sensex closes above 60,100. Prime Minister Modi shares investor optimism over India's growth. Speaking at the Madhya Pradesh Global Investor Summit, says the Indian economy has strong macroeconomic fundamentals. Hails India as an attractive destination for investment.
I'm told that the lyrics say, Chandra Bose, you dance like a scorpion has bitten you. That's the Telugu version. Dance like you have eaten hot chilies. It seemed like a simple and rustic way of explaining the song that has appealed to the world.
Yeah, 100%. Because it's a balanced kind of work. Balance. That is a balanced thing. We should not go overboard, or we should not go beyond this thing. So this is a balanced thing. We have to describe only Natu from rural backdrop. This is not a complete city kind of thing. They came from small villages. So the village things, I born and brought up in a small village. So I remember the things what I wrote what I experienced in my life. I wrote what I experienced in my life. That the lines came from my life only. Errajonna rottelona merapatukku kalipinattu. Errajonna means that one kind of millet, and merapatukku means chili chutney. So I experienced the food. In my home, I used to eat their rotte with chutney. Errajonna rottelona merapatukku kalipinattu. Na paata sudu naatu 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 naatu. Na paata sudu naatu naatu naatu. The complete gist comes in the one line, the Errajonna Rottelona line, and every line depicts the culture, every line depicts the strength, every line depicts the confidence, every line depicts the financial status of the youth in villages. So that song came into my life, my experience, my memories, my childhood.
Delhi gets set for the biting cold. Unprecedented dip in temperatures predicted. Sub-zero temperatures in Delhi soon. Amid season's first snowfall in hills. Delhi to freeze at 0 degrees. Cold capital Delhi.
Gets set for another freezing cold wave to hit parts of North India. Delhi continues to witness extreme temperatures. There's been slight relief in the last few days, including today. But now it's going to only get worse. In parts of Delhi, as per the prediction that's coming in the next few days, particularly the weekend, things are going to get really bad. We've had some respite with light rain in the last 2 days and also because of winds affecting northwest India. The minimum temperature in the capital is likely to go down to 9 degrees Celsius, and that's today. But tomorrow and day after, it'll get worse. Saturday and Sunday, the prediction is that we could touch 1 degree Celsius in Delhi. There are some predictions, some experts say it could even touch -4 degrees Celsius.
Currently, you must have noticed temperatures have increased. This is on account of a western disturbance over the northwest Indian region now. We are expecting this western disturbance to move eastwards from tomorrow. So temperatures will start to fall after 48 hours. Correspondingly, there is a chance that cold wave conditions will re-emerge over entire northwest India from 15th and 16th.
So temperatures all set to dip in the next cold wave that's about to hit the national capital. Let's get you the forecast ahead. On the 12th of January, that's today by the way, you can see that the minimum temperature is 12 degrees Celsius. And then the graph just dips. 13th January, the minimum temperature is going to be 9 degrees Celsius. Saturday and Sunday, it's going to be really, really bad. Going by the Met Department's predictions, the forecast says that on January 14th, the temperature could go down to about 4 degrees Celsius. And then on January 15th, look at that figure there. The prediction is that the minimum temperature could touch 1 degree Celsius. There's a warning from experts that it could be way worse than this as well. So brace yourself for that cold wave this weekend. 14th and 15th January is when it's going to get really bad. So an alert has also been sounded by the Met Department right now. The slew of advisories. We've seen one cold wave already hit parts of the national capital and parts of North India. Right now, there's been some respite with temperatures going up. But in the next few days, things are going to get bad again. Joining us this evening on 6 p.m. Prime is Makarand Kulkarni, SkyMet Weather Service expert. Mr. Kulkarni, thank you for joining us here on India Today. There's a lot of concern, sir, over the latest alert that's coming from the Met Department. There's speculation also that on the outskirts of Delhi, in some parts, temperatures are going to touch sub-zero levels. What's the forecast looking like for Delhi? Are we going to be seeing 0 degrees and below?
0 degree and below is not possible near Delhi or NCR area. The conditions are like this: the western disturbances, which is right now near Pakistan and India, this border, which will come, which will cross J&K and our hills by I think 13th, 14th, and then the temperatures will suddenly again drop in entire.
Mr. Kulkarni, we'll just reconnect with you. We're having a bit of a problem with your audio. Just give us a few seconds there to fix that. But essentially there, Mr. Kulkarni explaining to us why we're going to be seeing a dip in temperatures. And what he's telling us is that all these reports suggesting that -4 degrees Celsius will be the temperature in the coming days in Delhi is not going to happen. Yes, it's going to be extremely cold. Yes, you need to take the necessary precautions when you step out. But in Delhi, it's not going to be -4 degrees. It's definitely going to be about 1 to 2 degrees Celsius over the weekend. But in other parts of North India, like in Rajasthan, where already we've been seeing temperatures dipping, it's going to only get worse. This winter has been particularly harsh in many parts of North India. And keep a thought out also for all those who are stuck outside. They're homeless, who struggle right now to cope with the cold and have no resources whatsoever to help them. With this cold wave coming up, authorities have also issued a clear warning. We're yet to see if this is going to be a red or an orange alert that will be issued by the Met Department. So one of the reasons we're also seeing temperatures going down in the next few days is because in many parts of the hills, the snowfall has begun. And it's the season's first snowfall. Let's get you those images. A massive snow avalanche occurred in Sonmarg area of Gandarbal district. The avalanche caught on camera killed one person. The hunt is on for a labourer who'd also gone missing after the avalanche struck. As the mercury is dipping across North India, Srinagar witnessed its first snowfall of the season. Tourists were seen enjoying the picture-perfect snow-capped mountains in the region. Heavy snowfall was recorded in the peaks of Badrinath as several parts of Uttarakhand and Himachal are witnessing the season's first snowfall. Temperatures also plunged in Uttarakhand's Auli as the area received the first snowfall. A blanket of snow can be seen across Auli as locals largely stayed indoors due to the cold wave. Temperatures in Manali dipped below zero as the area witnessed heavy snowfall. The Met Department has issued a yellow warning, predicting that the snowfall will continue along with rainfall. And we've reconnected with Mr. Kulkarni for more on what to expect in the coming days as far as the temperatures are concerned. Mr. Kulkarni, you were telling us what Delhiites really can expect over the weekend. Go ahead, sir.
I think... Hello.
Mr. Kulkarni, you can hear me?
Yeah, you are
Go
audible.
ahead. Go ahead.
There is some voice from your studio.
Okay, we'll switch that off. But in the meanwhile, sir, go ahead with your prediction of what we can expect over the weekend.
I think there is some...
Apologies. So we'll fix that with Mr. Kulkarni and get you the forecast also from the experts as we track closely this cold wave that's all set to hit Delhi and other parts of North India. Apologies for that connection, but we will continue to track closely and get you what experts have to say about the weather forecast for the next few days. That's it from me on 6 p.m. Prime. Thanks for tuning in. Coming up on the other side, we're getting your highlights of the Prime Minister's visit to Karnataka's Hubbali, where in fact he spoke at the National Youth Fest saying the runway is ready for India's young workforce.
The IMF sees India as a bright spot in the global economy. The World Bank says that India is in a better position to deal with global headwinds than many other countries. This is because of India's strong macroeconomic fundamentals. OECD has said that India will be among the fastest growing economies in the G20 group this year. According to Morgan Stanley, India is moving towards becoming the world's third largest economy in the next 4 or 5 years. The CEO of McKinsey had said that this is not only India's decade, but India's century. Institutions and credible voices that track the global economy have unprecedented confidence in India. The same optimism is also shared by global investors.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
I would say that we have done a lot of reforms on the direct taxes. The corporate tax have been brought down to 22%, and new manufacturing units that are set up to 24 March will only pay 15% tax. So that's a good, it's stabilized. Maybe some reforms are needed on the personal income tax also, because the tax rates go up from 5% to 30%, and then there are a number of surcharges there, and a lot of exemptions are there. So maybe we need to tinker with some of these provisions. It may give relief to some people and may not give relief to some other people. But yes, there is a need to simplify the tax rates. There is a need to simplify the process of the personal income tax. Now, if they say a relief, I don't know what exactly CII means in terms of relief. Because if you look at tax to GDP ratio for our country, we are still very low. And there's a need to have more taxes. But yes, I agree to this front, and I am of a strong view that our taxes should not come from increasing the tax rates, but from expanding the tax base. So our effort should be there. So all these efforts in capital gains tax also, we need to do something on that. If we do all that, I think it will give relief to some people and also ensure simplification of tax rates.
Tonight at 9 p.m. on the news today with me, Rajdeep Sardesai. Courts cannot dilute the sovereignty of Parliament, claims Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar, wading into the growing debate between the judiciary and the executive. Is the Modi government spoiling for a fight with the judiciary? Is the big talking point on the news today. Also on the show, we'll have the latest ground report from Joshimath, where demolitions are set to take place. And we'll tell you just why parents of children with rare diseases are desperately seeking the help of government and civil society. All that and much more on the news today.
You're watching an India Today special broadcast
being brought to you from the stunning ski resort of Klosters, Davos.
The 53rd World Economic Forum is back at the snow-clad slopes of Davos. The smartest minds gather to debate the world's biggest challenges: energy crisis, industry headwinds, geopolitical risks, social vulnerabilities. India Today and Business Today are at ground zero to bring you all the action. Catch top corporate tycoons, politicians and intellectuals as they discuss cooperation in a fragmented world. Watch the Davos brainstorm only on India Today and Business Today TV.
Co-powered by Samsonite. Tested like Samsonite. Volkswagen Tiguan, India's safest SUVW. Citroen C3 Express your style.
You are watching India Today.
और प्रधानमंत्री का काफिला आप देख सकते हैं कि तस्वीरों में कि लोग सड़कों पर भी खड़े हैं और इसके साथ मकानों पर भी, छतों के ऊपर पहली मंजिल पर।
The Prime Minister's motorcade in Hubballi. Massive security breach at the PM's Roadshow. Young boy runs to Prime Minister with garland. SPG swoops in, takes garland from the boy. The boy and garland less than 5 feet from the PM. Was the boy allowed by the Prime Minister? Congress alleges PM violated own security protocol.
प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी अपनी गाड़ी से बाहर, अपनी कार से बाहर निकलकर हाथ हिलाकर
Will accountability be fixed? Row over Prime Minister's security breach. Good evening, viewers. I'm Preeti Chaudhary. We're going to get you the latest from our reporters on ground. But before that, let me take you through the headlines. Delhi gears for bone-chilling cold in the coming days. IMD predicts temperatures to dip as low as -4 with a chance of light rain. 2023 could record coldest winter in years for the capital. Prime Minister inaugurates National Youth Festival in Karnataka, says the runway is ready for India's young workforce. Pays tribute to Swami Vivekanand and hails Siachen hero Lance Nayak Hanumanthappa.
The runway is ready. The runway is ready for your takeoff.
Demolition begins of one of the 2 hotels that were marked unsafe in Joshimath. JCB bought in, emotional locals leave their homes. Suspended BJP Neta Nupur Sharma gets gun license after several death threats she received over her prophet remark. Army chief's big announcement on peace along the border says situation in northern border stable but unpredictable, sends proposal to commission women officers in artillery to government. The top story in this bulletin is of the Prime Minister's security breach in Hubballi, where he was on a long roadshow. Now, what we are getting to understand is that a young boy jumped onto the road suddenly, managed to get within an arm's length of the Prime Minister. This young boy was carrying a garland, trying to felicitate the Prime Minister, hand the garland to him. He was intercepted at the last minute and whisked away by the Special Protection Group, or the SPG. The incident happened when the Prime Minister was heading towards the Hubbali-Dharwad Railway Sports Ground to inaugurate the 26th edition of the National Youth Festival. Meanwhile, huge questions have now been raised on this massive security breach, viewers.
Sir, just wanted to know the details about this guy who reached near to the Prime Minister during the road show.
We are examining, and there is no breach as such. And all crowd which has been standing aside the road has properly checked, has been done, frisking has been done, everything has been done to that crowd which is stopping both sides of the road.
But the unidentified person reached near the PM convoy, sir. He gave a flower garland.
PM convoy is just, the convoy is very near to barricade only, na?
Yes.
So, So, we are examining this issue anyhow. Let us check what was this.
I want to immediately connect to my colleague Naga Arjun Dwarkanath, who's joining us for the latest. Naga, what is ensued at the back of this massive security breach, and accountability needs to be fixed? The SPG has a lot of homework to do, and possibly, an advisory would be given to the Prime Minister as well, the Prime Minister's office as well, regarding the same. But having said that, what are the local authorities saying?
Well, that is true, Preeti. In fact, I spoke to the commissioner myself, Hubballi commissioner. He's given me more details. The boy is of 10 to 11-year-old from Dharwad. He was over-enthusiastic. He jumped the barricade, then gave the garland to the Prime Minister. They are not calling it a breach of security or a protocol breach, because they say that even the garland was frisked. Every item that reached the location was frisked thoroughly. And we know that this boy was a supporter of Prime Minister Modi and a fan of Prime Minister. He then jumped and gave the garland. We don't see this as a security breach, because lakhs of people were there, and the car was very close to the barricade as well. And the garland was not a foreign object, because it was thoroughly checked by the security officials. They have not detained the boy, considering his age also. He's just 10 to 11 years old. He was just enthusiastic, seeing the Prime Minister jumped and then gave the garland. He's a local person here, so the local police also have information about his family, but they have not taken any action yet in terms of detain and arrest. SPG is talking to the local police as well, is what we are told, that certain explanation will have to be given, that how did he jump, and if he did jump, why was he not stopped. But what we are picking up from our sources also, that there was prior permission, in the sense when Prime Minister saw him coming, he didn't stop him. He in fact took the garland and put it on the windshield later.
All right. The opposition, the Congress, Naga, has made a political meal out of it, with many leaders from the Congress in the Karnataka unit actually blaming the Prime Minister himself for violating his own security protocol.
Well, that is true. The Congress has come out heavily on the Prime Minister, saying Prime Minister is not just Prime Minister for BJP, but also for India. He is Prime Minister for almost 1.3 billion people. So Congress is saying his safety is paramount.